I used to have the good fortune to interview Doug Fischer quite often. Doug Fischer is the editor of the Ring magazine. You can find him at ringtv.com and also on Twitter as well. He would break down fights. He would review fights. Doug is a big fan of the sweet science, and he will talk it with anybody. Talked it with me on this day, which he was in Vegas. He broke down Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather Jr. The fight is almost 15 years old now, about 14 and a half. You can find Doug at Dougie Fischer, Dougiefischer on Twitter. But right here, this is a classic episode of the Sports Buffet podcast where Doug was in Vegas for the mega fight, and I started the interview by asking him, what has the atmosphere in Las Vegas been like?
The atmosphere here is like a real big fight, and I haven't experienced a fight like this in many years. I probably have to go all the way back to 2002 with Oscar De La Hoya's fight with Fernando Vargas to compare the same type of buzz, the same type of fight crowd here in Las Vegas. And really, I don't think there's been a fight in all of boxing this big since Lewis Tyson. I think that's the last time a fight has attracted the attention of the mainstream media and attracted the attention of more than just boxing fans, but general sports fans and casual observers of boxing. It's been a long time since boxing has hosted a mega event like this.
How much can a fight like this kind of help make those general sports fans more boxing fans?
You know, I don't think one fight can make a fight fan. I think one fight of this magnitude, it can definitely attract the attention. It can definitely get those pay-per-view buys. HBO has gone out of its way to make sure that everybody who watches HBO definitely knows that there is a monster fight tonight, and I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to this fight. I think this fight's going to do record pay-per-view sales. I honestly believe probably in the neighborhood of 1.5 million pay-per-view buys are going to happen tonight, and that will make this fight the biggest non-heavyweight pay-per-view attraction of all time. But the fight itself has to deliver.
Right.
Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya, they have to fight. They can't box safety first. They really can't. Both of these guys are boxers first. Both of these guys are calculating boxers before they are warriors. Neither man has ever been involved in what we would call a fight of the year or even a fight of the year candidate. These guys have to put it down tonight, and if they do, and if the judges get it right, there are people who are not fight fans who might give boxing a chance the next time a big fight comes around. But
right.
The sport of boxing, the industry of boxing, has to be able to deliver that. And the state that boxing is in right now, it's taken a long time for it to get to this level. And what boxing is right now is it's an old sport. It's kind of like horse racing, where its demographic, the people who I would consider hardcore fans, they're not young. They're in their mid to late 30s. They're in their 40s. They're in their 50s. There's not a whole lot of men and women who are in their 20s who consider themselves diehard fight fans. And the sport has gotten to this point. It's sort of a fringe sport, if you will. It's taken 15, 20 years of a lot of mismanagement, a lot of greed, a lot of infighting between the powers that be in boxing. And when I say powers that be, I'm talking about the elite fighters. I'm talking about the promoters, the major promoters, and I'm talking about the major networks, cable networks that showcase elite boxing, and that's HBO and Showtime. HBO has the deep pockets in the boxing industry right now, and they're really the reason. That cable network is really the reason boxing isn't on network television.
Right.
Once HBO really got interested in boxing, and I'll say this was probably around, the mid to late 80s, the NBC and ABC and CBS, they could not match the licensing fees that this upstart subscription cable giant was offering championship fights. And the promoters and the boxers themselves, and obviously their managers and so forth, they were making a trade-off. By going for the bigger money of HBO, they were sacrificing the exposure that they got on network television. And from there, boxing really started to become a niche sport. And also from there, there's once upon a time, even rival promoters like Bob Arum and Don King, when a fight was big enough, like Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran, or even in more recent times, Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad, rival promoters like Bob Arum and Don King would do business when it made sense and when they could gauge for themselves that the boxing world, boxing fans, and the general sporting public really wanted to see this fight. They would bury their differences and do business. And in recent years, that's not happening. It's just not happening. Promoters are not working together. The networks are counter-programming each other. I'm talking about HBO and Showtime. And the fighters themselves, the better fighters of the last 10 years, with the exception of Oscar De La Hoya, they're taking the easy road. They're not going out there and challenging themselves. They're not fighting the type of fighters that are going to appease the hardcore fight fan and capture the imagination of the general fight fan. And the sport is hurt because of that. And one fight, one good night of boxing is not going to erase all of that.
Give me the strengths and weaknesses of Oscar and Floyd in your pick, if you would.
The strengths of Oscar, obviously, he is the more natural junior middleweight. He's a guy who actually had to come down from about 170 or 165 pounds to 154. And he weighed 154 on the dot, and he'll probably weigh 162 or 163 pounds tonight. So he is a naturally bigger fighter. He's taller. He's got a longer reach than Floyd Mayweather. He has the experience. He has big fight experience. A fight of this magnitude is nothing for De La Hoya. He's the reason this fight is a mega event. This is a guy who fought Julio Cesar Chavez 11 years ago. This is a guy who fought Pernell Whitaker 10 years ago. Monster sporting events and taking on the best fighters in the world, that's old hat for Oscar De La Hoya. He definitely has that experience. And he has the better experience in terms of the quality of opposition that he's been in with. I mean, Oscar fought Ike Corte when Ike Corte was in his prime and undefeated. He fought Felix Trinidad when Felix Trinidad was in his prime and undefeated. He fought Shane Mosley when Shane Mosley was in his prime and undefeated. But he's been in there with monsters. You can't say that about Floyd Mayweather. What you can say about Floyd Mayweather is this. He's a more versatile boxer than Oscar De La Hoya. He's a better ring general. He's smaller than Oscar, but he's also faster than Oscar. He has quicker hands. He has more fluid movements. He has better hand-eye coordination. He has better reflexes. He has faster feet, which will give the bigger man problems in this fight. And you know what? I would say that Floyd Mayweather, despite all of his accomplishments, he's won 5 major world titles over 4 different weight classes. I would say that Floyd Mayweather is the hungrier fighter. And why do I say that? Because he's never fought a Julio Cesar Chavez or a Pernell Whitaker or a Shane Mosley or a Felix Trinidad. He's never fought anybody that anybody in boxing or outside of boxing would consider to be a great fighter or even a future Hall of Famer. When you ask yourself who are the best guys that Floyd Mayweather has ever beat, you come up with names like Diego Corrales, Canelo Hernandez, Jose Luis Castillo, and maybe even Zab Judah's in there. That's sad when Zab Judah is one of the best fighters that you've ever fought. I mean, really.
Right.
It's a sad statement. I think Floyd Mayweather, in his heart of hearts, he knows this. He knows that if he retires tonight, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He will have. If he beats De La Hoya, he gets something extra. If he beats De La Hoya, he actually gets that name recognition that he's never had. He actually becomes a known quantity to people outside of boxing. And I think that's important to him. I think that's one of the reasons he behaves in such a childish manner. I think it's one of the reasons he's so disrespectful to a lot of people. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons he acts the way he does. He wants attention. This is a guy who hangs out with rappers. Like 50 Cent is part of his entourage for this fight. There's no secret that he's friendly with a lot of the young stars of the NBA. And these guys like 50 Cent and these basketball players, they're known. People know who they are when they're out in public. And that's not the case for Floyd. Floyd is known by hardcore boxing fans and boxing media. And that's it. And he's not going to get any kind of crossover recognition until he beats an Oscar De La Hoya. So obviously, I think he's hungry. I think he knows that for his career to have meaning, if he's really going to cap his career, he has to win tonight. So I consider Floyd Mayweather the hungrier fighter, and I think that's an edge going into this fight.
Weaknesses of both in your pick?
Weaknesses. One of Oscar's weaknesses is he's not very effective against a moving target. They were rounds against Ricardo Mayorga, who is not Benny Leonard by any stretch of the imagination. But after Oscar had hurt Ricardo Mayorga in the opening round, in the second and third round, Ricardo Mayorga actually began to back away from Oscar. And I noticed when even a Ricardo Mayorga moves away from Oscar De La Hoya, he's not comfortable hunting him down. Now, Oscar followed him around, but he didn't cut off the ring. And he wasn't punching while his target was moving. And that was something that I made note of last May while watching that fight. And I thought to myself, wow, if a moving Ricardo Mayorga can effectively shut down Oscar's offense, what will a moving Mayweather do to him? Because Mayweather can move and fight at the same time. Oscar doesn't do a very good job of that. He's more comfortable when his opponent comes to him. That's been his history. So I would consider that a weakness for Oscar, a style or a technical flaw, if you will. He's not very good at cutting off the ring. He's not very good at going after an opponent, a moving opponent. I would consider that a weakness in this fight. Floyd Mayweather, a weakness going in. Floyd really does not have a lot of weaknesses. But I will say this, he can be hit by a right hand. Now, a right hand is not Oscar's best punch. It's not a punch that he typically relies on. But Floyd Mayweather, when he does plant his feet, and he does that pull counter move where he tucks his chin under his left shoulder and tries to turn with the punch, and he looks to block whatever is coming from the left hand of a fighter with his right hand, he is open. When he stops, he is open for a right hand. Oscar has never shown a good right hand, but I think he's going to need his right hand to set up his left hook in this fight. And also Floyd Mayweather going to the ropes. I think the ropes is a very bad place for Floyd. And I think Floyd has fought the type of fighters where he could voluntarily go to the ropes and he could twist and turn and duck and block punches while his back is to the ropes. Against a fighter of Oscar De La Hoya's caliber, he really can't afford to do that. If Floyd does that, Floyd might get caught against the ropes. I would say that's a weakness. if that is a weakness, if he does indeed go to the ropes. And if Floyd does go to the ropes, it's because of arrogance. It's not because he's tired, and I doubt it's going to be because Oscar forced him to the ropes. If he goes to the ropes, it's arrogance. And I would say overconfidence is a weakness of Floyd Mayweather's part.
What's your pick?
My pick is the younger fighter. It's the fresher fighter. It's the hungrier fighter. It's the more versatile boxer. My pick is Floyd Mayweather Jr. by a competitive, close points verdict. I actually think that the scorecards might be closer than the actual fight. These are veteran judges. I think it's Jerry Ford, Chuck Giampa, and Tom Kazman. And these are old school judges, and they will give Oscar De La Hoya credit just for being there. They will give Oscar De La Hoya credit as long as Oscar De La Hoya is trying to make a fight of it. And Floyd Mayweather cannot afford to take rounds off. He can't afford to give away any rounds or be overly defensive in certain rounds either. However, I think his ring generalship will be the deciding factor in this fight. I like Floyd Mayweather by a 116, 112 verdict. But if I see a 116, 112, I guarantee you the official judges are going to see a 115, 113. And a draw would not shock me either. If Oscar De La Hoya wins 4 legitimate rounds, I could see on the official scorecards. But let's hope boxing gets it right. Let's hope there's no controversy with the scoring of this fight. My pick is Floyd Mayweather, but by a competitive points verdict.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people would walk away unhappy with the draw, even if it's, a competitive close fight, because I think people want some type of decision, obviously, in this one.
You're exactly right. They are not. It doesn't matter how good the fight is. Fight fans and the general public, they don't care for draws. They want a winner and a loser.